I met about 10 years ago the next speaker. This is a guy who really has a very clear idea of what are the future trends. He analyzes all those future trends, he tries to see what's coming, and he does more than that. He informs us how we can be ready for that future. Because if we want it or not, the future is coming. It is coming very, very fast. Ladies and gentlemen, Herman Konings.
Thank you, Byron, and thank you, of course, for the invitation. Hello, good afternoon. I'm Herman Konings. I am a psychologist by education, but you don't have to be afraid. I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm not into the deviant minds of people. And if you drive Tesla, you have to be a little bit deviant, I believe. I'm not a clinical psychologist, not a psychotherapist. I'm a theoretical psychologist, not a theatrical psychologist, but theoretical psychologist. I'm absolutely thrilled by the idea of the changing behavior of people. Why are you and I doing things today totally different compared to yesterday, and why will we do things tomorrow totally different compared to today? This is what my work is, what I'm absolutely thrilled about for 25 years now. And I'm not into looking into crystal balls. People say it's a future forecaster. He is talking to trees or reading hand palms and looking into crystal balls. I do look into crystal balls, but only when there is some gin and tonic inside. Then the crystal ball is very interesting, if you ask me. What we do is we will try to get a grip on the future. The future has to be made. That's true. And the future is totally uncertain. There is no certainty about the future except uncertainty and change. And the best way to predict the future, this is absolutely a platitude, is to make it yourself. That's absolutely so. So we don't have to wait until the future comes into our labs. We have to create it. And from a mental point of view, the future is very interesting because we want, of course, an environmental friendly future, but we have to have this mindset totally twisted for the future. What makes us to be very thrilled about the idea of driving electric and electronic, but not paying attention to it in an effective way? People have to change, of course, but believe me, people will change. This is absolutely the essence, the fuel of our behavior. We will change. There is a lot of work to do yet. To start, well, this is a kind of start, but to start 2.0, I'm going to show you our latest clip. We have always a clip of 1.5 minutes to have this idea about the future. So let's have a look. The idea of cathedral challenges is very interesting, if you ask me. Cathedral challenges. We're 50 meters from a cathedral. And I wonder, it's very interesting to see things evolve. In the Middle Ages, like the cathedral Onze Lieve Vrouw, Notre Dame de Anvers, one of the most beautiful buildings in the world, according to Antwerp people, is an interesting idea. It was built in the 15th century, I think. It took 170 years to build. And you have to imagine in the Middle Ages that the Burgundy dukes or the clergy at that time had to pay someone, architects and builders, to build a cathedral for God. And it was built and took 170 years. And it is very interesting to go back to that idea that someone paid for the cathedral, and knowing at that time he wouldn't be alive when the housewarming party or the lounge party would be at that time. He knew that it took 50, they thought in those days it takes 50 years to build a cathedral. So I won't be alive when it is finished. But it took 170 years. In Antwerp, the Duomo in Milano, nearly 500 years. The Sagrada Familia in Barcelona will be finished, they say, in 2026, after 150 years, more or less. Interesting idea. This is cathedral thinking. Go back to 2008. Now we see a lot of research, interviews with consumers, citizens, and business leaders. And what's so interesting is that last year, in 2014 and 2015, more and more consumers and business leaders were more upset about what happened in 2008. You know, the subprime mortgage crisis, which led to the financial crisis, the fall of the banks, and afterwards the economic crisis worldwide, 2008. Well, today, even more than 7 years ago, consumers, citizens, and business leaders are even more appalled and not amused about what happened in 2007. 2008. The short-term thinking was the cause of this collapse. And more people now are wanting a longer term. This is also sustainable thinking, not only in reducing waste, but in thinking in terms of projects that will last for 20, 50, 100 years. Not planning chips inside stuff, technological stuff, that will make the thing totally deficient or defect after 1.5 years programmed. Consumers are starting to get this. Interesting idea. So a cathedral challenging is what you have to do. Think in terms of 50, 60, 70 years. And there are some cathedral challenges. Wow, cathedral thinking. If you don't know what to say during a meeting, you can say, wow, cathedral thinking. Well, that gets your attention. Or the attention of the one you're talking to. Cathedral challenges, I have some examples of cathedral things. This is the light structure made by Jake Dyson. Now, Jake Dyson is the son of James Dyson. You know James Dyson, the one of the vacuum cleaner without a bag, the bagless vacuum cleaner. It was in the late 90s, early 2000, he made absolutely a hit with the vacuum cleaner without a bag. Now that's what sustainability 2.0, it was reducing waste, no bags anymore. But his son, last year, also a designer, James Dyson is also known by the blower, you know, when you go to the toilet, the blower. Well, this is Reggie, handjes omhoog, but his son, Jake Dyson, created this. And it has a light bulb that will last for 18,000 hours, the 40-year light bulb. Now, this is an interesting idea. This is a project that is cathedral challenging. You buy these light bulbs and you say, until next time, within 40 years, I will repurchase your light bulbs again. This is an interesting idea. This is absolutely cathedral thinking. Boyhood, the movie. It started in 2002. It was a project that would last for at least 12 years. There was no production process problem that made the film taking 12 years to finish. No, it was absolutely the purpose. Starting in 2002 with a little guy, 6 years old, and when he was 18, the finish was done. Cathedral thinking. But cathedral thinking means also you have to think, listen, watch, sense in 361 degrees. Now here is the shrink telling you that even as a business leader, you have to come down from your throne on the top of the hill and go in the center of the circle and listen to everyone. Not only to marketers or market researchers or to consumers, only a selected group, or to your board members or shareholders or stakeholders. You have to talk to anyone. Men, women, older people, younger people, people from here, people from elsewhere, people with money, people without money. This is 360 degrees watching. Now, the best thing you can do if you want to look into the future, you have to listen. So listening is the first act of looking into the future. 360 degrees plus the 1 degree extra. And this is your conscience. This is the mirror you're talking to or you're looking at. Go inside and ask yourself, will the project I will start, the products I will launch, will this be interesting also for society at large, for my children, my grandchildren and my grandchildren? Will they gain my efforts of today? Is it fair enough? Is it sustainable enough? Etc., etc. So 361 degrees thinking. With all respect, we said it 2-3 years ago. This was not 361 degrees thinking, Google Glass. Perfect, beautiful technological idea. Looking through your glass and having augmented reality on top of your glasses. Interesting for engineers, interesting for mechanical people, interesting for architects, but not for a consumer. This is the reason why consumers don't want this on their noses today. Because they are ashamed having this on their nose in a supermarket and the neighbor gets in without a Google Glass. What should you say? Hi, I'm looking into Twitter now or on your Facebook. Wow, what did you do last night? This is not a relevant article for consumers. 361 degree thinking means thinking in terms of relevance marketing. Relevance marketing is the new thing. We're working for Philips Design. And since 2 years, Philips has taken a lot of psychologists and sociologists on board. Why is that? Philips was absolutely the kingdom of the engineers. The engineers were gods. And thanks to the engineers, we had the CD, made in Hasselt. And thanks to the engineers, we had the cassette. You know, ask if you're younger than 35, ask your parents what a cassette means and what the pencil, the role of the pencil is in a cassette. They will tell you. But it was beautifully designed, thought of by engineers at Philips. But now these engineers have to listen to psychologists and sociologists. Why is that? Because a brain of a woman is totally different compared to a brain of a man. A brain of an older people is totally different compared to a brain of a younger people. Now we are trying to explain them. They have to make... Do you know the slogan of Philips? Who knows the slogan of Philips? It's beautiful. I'm asking this for 4 months now, for maybe 50 or 60 lectures. Always the same reaction, let's make things better. It isn't the slogan since 2002. 13 years, it was at that time swapped by sense and simplicity. And sense and simplicity is also out of order. Now it is Philips, innovation, and you. It's not good as from a creative point of view, but it's a relevant thing. It's about first listening to you and then we make the products. UCB, we're working for UCB, pharmaceutical company. What UCB says now is we're in the pharmaceutical industry, of course. We're making pills, but pills aren't always relevant. For some patients, the pill works with less or no side effects. For another, the same pill doesn't work and has a lot of side effects. We want to be in the car industry. Aha. We want to make car seats. A pharmaceutical medical company making in the future car seats. Why is that? Because now we are talking about wearables, you know. And with your smart watch, you can monitor your health, your blood pressure and your heart rate, etc., etc. But only the small part of your total body. Now, if you sit in a car hours a day, then your total body can be monitored. And it will be perfectly possible within 5 years to say, within 3 weeks and a day, you will die by heart disease. This is relevance thinking. This is 361 degrees thinking. This is also too expensive for the gadget freaks, the youngsters, the hipsters, the geeks, the nerds. Well, this is $1,500. You know, you have to pay $1,500. And all these hipsters in Silicon Valley were absolutely appalled by the idea of paying $1,500. And therefore, the creation of this was the alternative. And it works perfectly, you know. So this is an interesting example of 361 degrees thinking. The era, Google again, but now with relevance thinking. Google made this possible, the Google ARA project. And let's have a look at this picture, at this video. Music, maestro? There has to be music on. Okay, thanks.
Oh, shit.
Well, it will be 2016. They're a little bit delayed, but think of it. Every one of us, we had our screen, of course, broken by letting the system fall on the floor. So you have to give that to your provider or the shop. And you have to wait for a week, and you get your Nokia from 1997 for a week in use. And then you're absolutely out of your mind because your total life is inside the product. There was a guy in 2013, a Dutch guy, who said, well, why shouldn't we have a smartphone where the different parts could be teared apart and can be switched with upgrade stuff? You know, if I want a better function of video, the higher definition of video, I want only the video function be swapped by a better one, and I pay 100 or 150 euro for it. Now everything is so locked in, you know. You have to wait. The guy bought himself an iPhone 4, I believe, 2 months before the iPhone 5 was there with a better, higher definition of the video. He was absolutely upset. He said, I have to pay again 800 euro for the next big thing. Very strange. Let's make this kind of stuff with tactile apps. So it also a very interesting idea that we could have cars. Well, this is Cathedral thinking, because the core of the smartphone will last for 10, 15, 20 years. And you can swap the things in terms of what you need, in terms of what is at that time interesting for you. The grandmother of the guy of 21 or 22 years old, well, she had a problem with her sight. She doesn't need a video function or a photo device on her smartphone. What she needs, and she said it to the guy, I want to have this small tactile app where I can put my thumb on, so I can regularly monitor my own heart rate or blood pressure. This is more interesting, relevant for me. So relevance marketing is what is needed now. This is an idea from Antwerp. Board of Innovation, beautiful. Problem with the e-commerce, wow, e-commerce. Now e-commerce is growing in Belgium, let's give it absolutely a hand of applause. But the problem is more and more people aren't at home because they're working, and there is this couriers having a lot of parcels no one there, and he has to take it back and to write a document and to bring it to a kiala or a postpunt point where you can take it with you. But still you have to go outside and to go to a certain place to collect the delivered stuff. Time waste. Now, this isn't time waste. The car is a beautiful, large mailbox with a trunk, Tesla in front and the back. Normal cars between brackets in the back. A mailbox. You've paid $99 to install in the car a chip that permits the driver, the courier, to open remotely the trunk of your car. So couriers, the UPSs and DHLs, etc., can literally drive at night to find immediately by GPS where your car is parked, open the car with a day code, the trunk of your car, place the stuff, and can go further. No traffic jams for the couriers anymore. Well, this is a beautiful idea made possible by Antwerp people. And now Volvo has bought the idea. Volvo Rome is doing this in Sweden now. This is relevance thinking. Oh, but you can also put all the stuff at the reception desk in my boss's office. Yeah, right. What the boss said today is no longer my desk of reception will be a window for Zalando or Coolblue anymore. It is forbidden in a lot of companies. This is a beautiful solution. If you want to understand the future, start with a two-dimensional crystal ball. This is my crystal ball. This is a demographic curve of Europe in 2015, of Belgium, of Holland, of France, Spain, whatever. Here starts the idea of future casting. If you look at this, all people between 1 or 0 years up to 112 years in Belgium are stacked here in cohorts of each 5 consecutive years. And if you see this, most people are in the middle, the boomers. And then you see a decline of the number of people, thanks to the Belgian Dr. Peters, who invented the contraceptive pill. Interesting idea. His son last year got the reward for his dead father as the best Belgian invention of the last 50 years. Very interesting idea. The son taking the award and saying, I'm glad that my mother wasn't a subject of test and experiment when my father tested the contraceptive device. But still, it is called dejuvenilization. Well, I have to see what, okay, this here is called dejuvenilization, less and less births since 1965. This is called mortality. Once 50, the likelihood to become ill or to die is growing exponentially. So be aware of that. But most people are here. And therefore I can say, if I see this picture, I know that I would not invest in squash centers. You squash until you're 40, and then the doctor will say to you, don't map too hard on the ball. Go play tennis, it's less intensive, or go to play golf. And then you can see that golf for the baby boomers will be absolutely hit the next couple of years. Procter & Gamble, they've invented the diapers, disposable diapers in 1974, 10 years after the start of the decline of the number of babies. It was an instant hit in Europe, but still at headquarters of Procter & Gamble, they said, shit. Well, it was possible because they're in the diapers industry. We've lost the momentum. We should have invented the diapers, the disposable diapers, in 1945 or 50 or 55, when 20% more people were born. Well, hey, the war was over in 1945, and there was a party going on for 20% more babies born between 45 and 64, the baby boom. So in 74, it was a baby bust. Year after year, less and less diapers to sell. But still, the guys and girls at Procter & Gamble, they knew, aha, there are new opportunities in the upper side of the demographic chart. We are now entering the age of the leaking baby boomers. You can laugh with it, but since 2 years, In Japan, more diapers were sold to older people than to children. Next year, Belgium will have the same case. More diapers to be sold to older than to children. This is interesting. But it's not enough to think in terms of only demography. You have also to think in terms of generations. And aha, this is psychology. I don't have the time to explain everything, but here you have this, for Europe, the division of the generations. The silent generation is very scarce. Well, there is scarcity. They don't want to spend money because they know about the war, they know about pandemics, they know about nature disasters, they know about the economic depression since 1929. Look at your parents or grandparents older than 75. They are absolutely God-fearing, holding the money to give it to the next generation, the master boomers or the baby bloomers. These are the baby boomers, extended 5 years up, the ones born in the Second World War, and 5 years down, the ones between 45 and 50. Well, the baby bloomers are the Tesla drivers up to date, the 50-somethings. Not the 30-something, the 50-somethings. They have the money. And they have also the mentality. And the mentality of baby boomers at large. The master boomers, all the master boomers in Belgium are the retired baby boomers. They have the time and a lot of money, 2 income, double incomes, 13-month, 14-month group insurances, a lot of money to spend. And hey, they will spend. Who is here in this room a baby boomer? Who is born between, let's say, 45 and 75 at large? Well, congratulations, you're baby boomers. You have a lot of money, and within 10, 15 years, you're absolutely retired, and you can spend the money. Who is here younger than 45? Well, my condolences to you. Your parents are baby boomers, and once retired, they will spend the money. They are also known as the generation ski. Ski means spending their kids' inheritance. So the thing you can do today is go back or this evening to your parents and try to financially strip them down today, because within 20 years there will nothing left to be stripped down. They will spend. They come to visit not only cities, but they come to live in cities. The first older generations buying all the hip lofts and apartments in cities are baby boomers. And baby boomers are people who want to die young, but as late as possible. And a Tesla is a product for people dying young as late as possible. Also, BMW knows this. They've invented last year the BMW Active Tourer. It's not it's a silver line car. It's a huge success. BMW 2 Active Tourer, not BMW 50 Plus. Doesn't work that way, 50 Plus. No 50 Plus will buy a 50 Plus car, but a BMW Active Tourer, this is it. Active Tourer, the 50-somethings. Male 50-somethings, you know, males 50s, I'm a male 50-somethings. Once 50, a male buys himself a bike to climb up the Mont Ventoux or the Alpe d'Huez. This is typical, to die young but as late as possible, and also known by BMW. Beautiful designed, hip, young, stylish, but at the same time, if you're 50 or older, your knees hurt when you go down. Your lower back does hurt also. And this is a demographical thing, and this is also known by the BMW. They've installed in the trunk of the car a sliding system to nicely put your bike inside of the car, because you have problems with your back if you have to kneel down for having the constellation or putting your bikes on top of the car. It doesn't work that way. This works. This is effectively a service flat on 4 wheels for the baby boom generation. Baby boomers are not no-nonsense. You know, the before war generation is a no-nonsense generation. Baby boomers are neo-nonsense. It may be nonsense again. This is a beautiful example of a beautiful pop-up restaurant in London until the 23rd of December last year. And a lot of baby boomers went over there to eat. And what they could eat only was tinned fish. Fish in tins. Not special stuff. They've bought tinned canned fish all around the world in supermarkets, and they were sold in tin can restaurant. And you get absolutely a plater, a napkin, and a waiter or waitress is opening your fish or your tin canned fish. The tin can was opened by the waitress. And you get also a beautiful glass of white wine, and for that you pay $45 per cap. And baby boomers, they applaud, they love the idea of $45 being paid for this, because they have a story to tell when they go back and say to their children, I was in London, I had a beautiful experience at a tin can restaurant. We paid $45 for. The pre-war generation would be absolutely appalled by the idea. Because I was having the experience of the war. This is absolutely unbearable for my mind. So this is the new mindset of the baby boomer, neo-nonsense. And then you have, of course, interesting, the prime busters. The prime busters are the ones between 30 and 45. No money, no time, and a lot of responsibilities. No time, working hard, knowledge and service economy, having children. From 30 on, you have children. So this is absolutely a problematic generation. But there you have the guys and the girls, the millennials, 15 up to 30 years of age. And this is interesting. Let's have a look. Oh, that was funny. Let's have a look again.
The best in humanity was out on that course.
Everybody here is your teammate.
We're getting people back to basics. We're training people to live a better life, to live a better value set. And the teamwork and the camaraderie part, that's what's different. And that's what we're all about.
That's the name of the game. People helping people.
A lot of people think that running a 12-mile military-style obstacle course that you need to be some six-pack ab, be able to bench press a couple 100 pounds. And that's not what it's about.
Any shape, any size, any age.
All you got to do is decide. Deep down, you're going to finish, and you will.
I've lost 95 pounds.
I was told I'd probably never walk again.
You know, I got 10 months clean in recovery.
The reason that over 1 million people have done our events is because we have the best obstacles. And we're going to build even better obstacles. We're going to launch...
Etc., etc. This is Tough Mudder. Do you know Tough Mudder? It exists for 5 years now. It was initiated in 2010 in Allentown in the United States by 3 ex-military people from Great Britain. They started the first Tough Mudder. It's not the tough guy competition or the gladiator competition, because it's not a competition. It was built for millennials. Well, you see the clip, yeah, it's for all ages. Effectively, all ages can participate, but 87% of the participants are youngsters between 15 and 30, 18 and 30 years of age. And this is not a competition. It's so true for millennials. It's not baby boomers are in competition. Baby boomers are a competitive generation. You see that online gaming. Baby boomers started online gaming since a few years, and they want to beat their colleague or their sister or their mother-in-law or their sons and be better than yesterday. But baby busters and the millennials, 15, 30 years of age, they play multiplayer online games. They are here in Antwerp and seeking someone in Johannesburg and Hanoi and Zeppelin to together reach the next goal, reach the finishing line. Here, the first demand is when you see someone, if you do participate at this endurance race, when you see someone, you have to stop and to help him or her to get together the objective done, to reach the finishing line, to have the code broken. This is interesting. This is a collaborative idea. And this is so interesting. The collaboration, the construction of Me-topia, of people working together in cooperation or collaboration, is typical for the millennials, not for the baby boomers. Now you could say, well, okay, this example of the Tough Mudder in 2010, 3,000 participants, yeah, right. But be aware that last year in 2014, the 1.2 million participant took place in one of the 50 editions every year of Tough Mudder. You don't get a tag on your bag with a number, like when you do the marathon. You get your first name on the tag, like you have here the first name, which is more important than being a number. No competition in Me-topia. Collaboration and collaborative, the collaborative economy. Now we understand why youngsters are into car sharing and into Uber. Tim, where is Tim? Inside, yeah, sorry, Tim. You've done research. Well, Insight's done research. 10,000 people in Europe being asked, a few months ago, have you already take part of a car sharing project? And have you ridden in a Uber taxi or Uber car all around the world? The baby boomers, 2% said yes. The millennials, 14%, which is typical. It is their mindset. It's a generational thing. This is tiramisu. I could give you the examples of Uber and Airbnb and thuisafgehaald.be. But tiramisu. In Germany, 20,000, mostly youngsters, now drive bikes in cities. In 15 cities where tiramisu is now available and working, you can be part of tiramisu. You have to have a smartphone in your pocket. And if you drive a bike, and let's say Karl-Heinz is living in the southern part of Munich and is driving in the northern part of Munich, he gets a notification. Dear Karl-Heinz, you're now driving at the Königsallee number 22. In Königsallee number 64, there is a shop where there is a parcel for someone who've ordered this parcel this morning, and we know that you have to go back to home. So take it with you, and when you pass the purchaser, deliver it there, and you get 4 or 5 euro. 20,000 people are doing this. So this is the Uber ice cream. You know, there was a strike of taxi drivers last week in Brussels. Well, believe me, within a few months you have a strike of ice cream vendors. You know, the ones with a food truck where you can buy an ice cream. You have to wait for hours, and then there is the ice cream car. You don't have to wait anymore. Your Uber app can deliver ice cream. Uber ice cream is delivering you ice cream. So this is a problem for the traditional food truck ice cream vendor. This is not fair, and I agree, this is not fair. But still, the next couple of years, the baby boomers are out. The youngest baby boomers will retire within this and 10 years and will be replaced by the baby busters and the millennials, and they will set the rules. So we will have a We-topia, a economy of we, the we-economy. It will be regulated, but it will be there and will last. Not only We-topia, we have also Me-topia. With all the wearables we have, we can perfectly know, we are perfectly knowable for everyone. The big data, you know, the big data. But I'm a little bit afraid of big data, because big data gives us a kind of predictability. Millennials don't like predictability. They want to be surprised. And big data is no longer a surprise anymore. I'm watching Netflix and listen to Spotify or Deezer, and I get the same kind of music and films and videos. More and moreover, my ecosystem is totally unlocked with big data. It's better to have serendipity. Serendipity. And this is what is happening. You know, the expression in Dutch, the hay, large hay hives, you know, where hay is. If you look for a needle in a hay hive, you know what I mean? Okay, one. Thank you for the stacks. Hay stacks? Okay, that. Okay. The hooimeid. Huh? If you're looking for a needle in the hooimeid and you get out of the hooimeid with a boerenmeid, this is serendipity. That's a beautiful definition. And this is what we like. So, but Me-topia is there. We have a lot of technology like this one. I have 2 minutes more left. Look at this. This is even better than the smart watch, the Apple Watch. This authenticates you. You open your Tesla. with your heart rate. Your heart rate is unique, it's biometric. And you do everything. You can authenticate yourself by means of this. So this is working also in the future. Authentication. You don't have to wait anymore. You go through the customs service without waiting. You check in at the desk of a hotel without waiting. You regain time. The NIME is doing this. It's now being tested in Canada. It's all about intuitive technology. And this will be the future. Intuitive technology. Technology that will be used in an intuitive way. Technology obeying the 0123 rule. You know the 0123 rule? O means no manual. Intuitive technology is a technology without using a manual. It works. You gain time, and time is important. When you don't have the time to play with your children or talk to your wife, you will be satisfied with self-driving cars, intuitive technology. You can work in the car, and when you're at home, you don't have to say, wait, I have to send out some emails. You can play with your children and talk to your wives. Or play with your wife and talk to your children, which is also an option. Intuitive technology, believe me. And then to end up, I have 14 seconds left. It will be 2 minutes and 14 seconds, Byron, for the same price. And because I want to give you the last interesting idea. Innovation, well, innovation, and Tesla's a beautiful example, becomes altruvation. Altruvation. It's altruism and innovation at the same time. And since Tesla is saying, well, hey, we have thousands of patents, we give it for free for everyone. This is altruvation. It's innovation, absolutely not for themselves and for gaining a lot of short-term gains, but for everyone. The Toyota Mirai is doing the same. Hydrogen fuel cells, the patents are free for everyone to use. This is altruvation. Last example of altruvation, maybe you know it, is this beautiful example by Samsung in Argentina. Enough advertising for Samsung, but this is the way it works. This is altruvation. Society also gains by this kind of, it's not a gimmick, it works effectively and it doesn't cost a lot of money. It's absolutely interesting idea. Okay, and then I'm at the end of my presentation, but last thing to say, if you want to forecast, don't fall into the fall of the blind spot. You know, blind spot forecasting. This is literally a picture of 1960, in the early 60s. In 2000 we will use self-driving cars, but still we have the mindset of someone of 1960s, you know, with the dress and the haircut and playing board card games, etc., etc. So when you think in terms of 20, 40, 50 years, it will be totally different than what you design today. But the essence, the core, will be absolutely there. This was a vision of 2050. This was a cathedral vision of 2050. But the execution, of course, will be totally mind-setting the day today, blind spot forecasting. And therefore, I'm at the end of my presentation, 3 minutes over my time. I thank you for your attention. Last beautiful saying by Marshall McLuhan: the story continues once the book closes. I thank you for your attention. Thank you.